2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, you know it is. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Thursday, the pre-Friday celebration, so that's good news. As you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you get to enjoy just a little bit. Welcome in. We have a big show lined up for you today, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here of the flagship station of the Big Talker, KQM in Wichita, Kansas, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, on the website at HooserReason.com. Thanks for hanging out with us today, as you do each and every day. We appreciate it very, very much. We've had a massive spike in podcast downloads, too, which I'm not sure where it came from, but thanks for that. Kudos. Appreciate it very much. Coming up, bottom of the hour, we have our very own congressman here from the Kansas area in South Central Kansas, Congressman Ron Estes, in the 4th District. He is on the Ways and Means Committee. I wanted to bring him on as we talk about this COVID-19 relief bill. Are we going to get one out of Washington, D.C.? And him being on the Ways and Means Committee, you know, with appropriations and bills and taxes and our budget, I want to see where we're at with our budget on how we actually look when it comes to our budget federally. So we'll be talking with him at the bottom of the hour. He swung in studio earlier today, and we'll play that interview coming up in just a little bit. So stay tuned in for that one. Going to be a big one. Until then, a big question we asked yesterday, too. Are you sick and tired of hearing about Kamala Harris? I know, Kamala Harris, whatever. Doesn't really matter. I think it's technically Kamala Harris, right? Anyways, the media, the desperation showing just a little bit, right? The media leaking out their desperation just a bit. Why? Because they're desperate to make that team look good. The Joe Biden, the Kamala Harris team, they want it to look solid, like we can't touch it. After day one, when they came out and made the announcement, President Trump came out and started criticizing Kamala Harris just a little bit, and the media came out and said, no, you can't do that. She is a woman. She is a woman of color. You cannot criticize her. Now they're running the story saying that, well, the Trump administration doesn't know how to properly attack her because the Republicans, the RNC, the conservatives, they don't know whether to attack her as a radical left progressive or whether to attack her and criticize her as a moderate. Because they say she's a moderate candidate. She's bringing, I mean, come on. You can look at it as a moderate perspective, I guess. When you have on one side saying, oh, look, she's all about the anarchy that's going on, the Antifa, the Chaz, the CHOP, the autonomous zone, that's been the craziness. Now we have someone who used to be a district attorney, who's a lawyer, and who's a prosecuting attorney. Therefore, she's the moderate voice coming in, reining the party back in, right? That's what they wanted to create here. It's all been set for us. You have to realize that. It's all been set. They understood that this was going to be a transgression. We don't like the radicalism. We don't like the chaos in the streets. We don't like everybody hating cops and defunding law enforcement. And even though she may not be for law enforcement per se, she's quote-unquote for the rule of law. She's quote-unquote for rules in society. So therefore, we've created this scenario. We have the Democrats that have embraced it over the entire summer and over the COVID-19 time and since George Floyd and everything that happened. We've embraced it, but we don't like it now, and the party doesn't like it, and the voters don't like it, so we're going to begin to rein it back in just a little bit with Kamala Harris as a district attorney, as a prosecuting attorney, and as someone who's going to bring rule of law and order again back into our streets. Because remember, it's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault because of all this. And she's the one that's going to bring common sense and rationality and law back into our streets. That's why they chose her. And, of course, the minority thing and the woman thing and whatever, which is a big checkbox for them. They love those things. But she was polling at 1-2% in the presidential polling when she tried to run for president, so that's not really going to do her any justice. But they're trying to now say that Republicans have no argument against her. Here's the headline. Exclusive from Reuters. Breaking news exclusive. The exclusive story was, of course, that Kamala Harris could help Biden with women, with young voters, and maybe even some Republicans as well. Oh, yes, that's the headline from Reuters.com. Nearly 9 out of 10 Democrats approve of U.S. Senator Kamala Harris as their party's vice presidential nominee. And she's more popular than presidential candidate Joe Biden among women, young voters, and even some Republicans. Now, let's stop it there for just a second. Joe Biden, not very popular. He needed a little boost. They think that because she's kind of sort of cute, because she's a woman, because she's of minority descent, that, this is going to be a runaway. 9 out of 10 Democrats approve of her. They love her. They love her more than Joe Biden when it comes to women, because, of course, women hang out all together, right? Just like the black vote, if you vote for Trump, then you ain't black. Same thing with women. If you vote for Donald Trump, then you ain't a woman. Right? I'm waiting for that to come out. I'm waiting for Joe Biden or Kamala Harris to say that. If you vote for Trump, then you ain't a woman. Because that's what they think. That all women just kind of get together. And as I hit the microphone, because I get extremely excited about this, that all women get together and they all vote the same way. And if you vote differently, then you're against your gender. If you vote against the status quo, then you're against your race or against your religious views or against your people or whatever, because you need to live in the box. And that's what they think women are doing. Young voters, she's progressive, she's hip, she's retro, she's kind of cute. She's going to be able to, which I don't think she's very cute, but I guess a lot of people do, that she's going to be able to appeal to them because she's younger and she's a new face. She's not the Joe Biden. She's not the Hillary Clinton. She's not the Bernie Sanders. She's not the John Kerry. She's not the Bill Clinton. She's a brand new face. This is her very first term in the U.S. Senate. And now she's going to be a vice presidential candidate. And now she's going to be popular, apparently, among some Republicans as well. Here's what the story, because I'm curious, how in the world are Republicans going to vote for this? Let's continue on. Reuters. August 11th through 12th public opinion survey found that 60% of Americans, including 87% of Democrats and 37% of Republicans, consider the selection of Harris the first black woman. She's not black, she's Jamaican. And Asian American, she's not Asian, she's Indian. Boy, they really got that one wrong, didn't they? Nominated for vice presidency to be a major milestone for the United States. Now, because they say it's a major milestone, because she's of minority descent and a woman being chosen as a vice presidential candidate, that it's a major milestone. Doesn't mean they agree with her. But yeah, sure, we knocked off those boxes. We checked the box, and therefore that's cool. Now, normally I would say that means absolutely nothing, but we did get 8 years of an Obama administration, just to throw that out there, right? I would say that the whole race thing doesn't matter because we should look at the, what what they say, character of an individual or their ideas, especially as a politician. We should look at their ideas as opposed to just their skin color or their gender or their minority descent or their religion. We should look beyond some of that and look at what they actually believe in. I would say that, but we did have a guy who no one knew anything about, who talked really well, who was very suave, who was very celebrity-esque, like Barack Obama, as the first black president or presidential candidate at that time, and he ran away with an election. Now, at the same time, we did have a George W. Bush we were trying to come off of. We had a John McCain that was like a George W. Bush we were trying to get away from, and we didn't know really what direction to go, and voter turnout for Republicans went downhill. So, of course, we had a Barack Obama hope and change kind of mentality. Yeah, it was very suave, it was very sexy, it was very cool. Harris, I don't think, can pull that off. She's bitter, she's angry, she's not very appealing, and she just looks like a grump, and she acts like a grump, and she's running with a guy that doesn't know what he's doing. This honestly reminds me of like a John McCain, Sarah Palin campaign. Does it not? Does it not? The older guy, my friends run a Straight Talk Express, right? The John McCain, who's been in office for years. He was the moderate Republican. He attacked conservatives constantly. He hated Donald Trump, but not at that point. But when he ran for president, we didn't have excitement about John McCain. He actually got the nomination because we split the conservative vote between a Mike Huckabee and a Mitt Romney at the time. And John McCain was able to slip in with the moderate vote. So we had that, and in order to try to appeal to conservatives and try to appeal to the base and then try to bring some excitement to the crowd, he brought in Sarah Palin to the campaign, and she had more people showing up to rallies for her than John McCain actually did to him. This is exactly what the Democrats are doing right now. Not an exciting candidate. The progressives were split between numerous different candidates with Bernie Sanders, with Pete Buttigieg, with Elizabeth Warren. They were all split. John McCain or Joe Biden got right in there, got the nomination, and now they're trying to bring some excitement by a candidate that's fresh, that's young, that's hip, that's a woman, and trying to excite the base. And I don't know if it's going to work, because at least Sarah Palin, even though she, said some funny things and she wasn't quite prepared for the national scene, she at least was a firebrand in an exciting way, like a firebrand, like, hoorah, let's do this, America, yeah. Not a Kamala Harris where it's like, I'm going to destroy you. Because that's what she kind of is. She's an attorney. She's bitter. Did you hear the questioning with Brett Kavanaugh? Did you hear the way she treated that guy? She wanted those political statements out there. She did. So you know what? I don't know how they excite her, but then they say, well, Republicans have no way to attack her. They don't know what to do. Whether she's a moderate, whether she's a liberal. I'd like to remind you, and this according to Fox News, that Kamala Harris scored as the most liberal U.S. senator in 2019. So that should clear it up. Media, stop trying to put it in our minds. Well, I don't know how to feel about her. Stop trying to tell us that we don't know which way to attack her, whether she's moderate, whether she's progressive. They're already trying to set the narrative here. Day one, boom, media went on it. All right, she's the candidate. We're going to move forward with this. She's going to be our ticket, right? It's what they've done. And now they don't know how to respond because, well, they're trying to say, well, Republicans don't know how to attack her. Donald Trump, if he attacks her, then he's a sexist, he's a racist, he's whatever else. And you can't attack her because she's moderate, but yet she's progressive. She's the most liberal senator in Congress right now, except for when it comes to maybe the courts and when it comes to law, which is what they want to try and play on. They don't want to talk about her gun record, her abortion record, her stance on climate change, her stance on any other policy issue. It's solely on the fact that she hates Donald Trump and that she's an attorney, a former district attorney that threw people in jail. And therefore, she's all about rule of law while we have anarchy in the streets. Now, they created the anarchy in the streets, but she's going to clean that up because she is the party now. She is the ticket of law and order. Joe Biden's running mate Kamala Harris scored the most liberal U.S. senator in 2019, according to a government track analysis, outranking Senator Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. This story, according to Fox News, according to the government track.us, organization tracking U.S. Congress and information on lawmakers and their voting records. The group's analysis was based on senators' legislative behavior by how similar the pattern of bills and resolutions they co-sponsor are to members of Congress. The score was interpreted based on a conservative liberal scale, and the scorecard put Kamala Harris as the most liberal as number one, Senator Bernie Sanders at number two, ranking Kirsten Gillibrand at number three, and Senator Jeff Merkley, Democrat from Oregon, as number four. On the conservative side, they ranked Marsha Blackburn, Republican from Tennessee, as the most conservative senator, along with, Mike Braun and Ted Cruz. So there you have it. Kamala Harris, there's no argument. There's no argument. You can try and say, well, Republicans don't know how to argue against her, don't know whether to classify her as a moderate or whether as a crazy progressive. They're trying to play her off as a moderate with the whole anarchy thing going on in the streets that they created when she's, in fact, one of the most progressive candidates in the entire U.S. Senate. And mind you, remember, she is the one that co-sponsored Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez Green New Deal from the House of Representatives. They co-sponsored it along with Cory Booker in the U.S. Senate in order to try and push that crazy progressive environmental agenda. Now try and see how that's going to be taken into effect if they end up getting the presidency and vice presidency and what this country could actually look like. Stop trying to play in the games, media. We're already on to you. We already know where she stands. We already know where you stand, and it's going to be a hard-fought battle, but at least you're going to expose yourself for being absolutely nuts. Got lots to get to here on The Voice of Reason on a Thursday. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time.
The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, you are. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. 24 minutes past the hour. It is a pre-Friday celebration. Get some comments on the social media, new music. No, I messed up the break. That was my bad. So if you're watching the video feeds on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, on HooserReason.com, if you're watching those, usually you'll get our network sponsors or promos, and then you'll get the video feed of the commercials. And I hit that a little early, so then when you came back, you actually got some of the music that we played during the break for the local affiliates on the radio side. So there you go, a whole little thing there. By the way, if you are watching those, I appreciate it. If you share it out, leave a comment, just spread it, like it, share it onto your own page. Let's blast this sucker out. We've had some fights with the algorithms on Facebook. I've gained almost 100 new followers on Facebook in this last 3 or 4 days, and we're not expanding really when it comes to the people interacting with the posts. So either the posts aren't interesting, which could be, or it's just because they're not seeing them. So do me a favor, if you see it on there, just hit the like button, call me a jerk, say hi, just leave a comment on there and share it onto your own feed. We appreciate that very much. On the same note, while we are getting new likes on the Facebook page, we're also getting new people sharing out the actual page itself for more people to like it. So thank you for that, and we appreciate that very much. And one more, if you are watching, by the way, the video feed, your thoughts on how I should cut my hair. So I've been trying to grow out the top just a little bit, and then before I had the side shaved because I'm trying to grow out the top of it and do the whole Viking look, whatever. But I'm trying to grow out the top and then shave the sides, and I'm thinking I'm going to continue it on. Right now it's at that length where I can kind of comb it back and it looks kind of nice, but the sides are getting a little long, so I'm going to get the haircut. Mrs. Voice of Reason, by the way, is the one that does cut the hair. She does it. I haven't gone to a hairstylist in a long time, even before the whole COVID thing, years. My Mrs. Voice of Reason's been doing this. So your thoughts on how I should probably do this? I don't know, whether I should shorten the top and make it the spiky, messy thing again, or whether we should actually continue to grow out the top and shave the sides. Your thoughts. I'd be curious to see how you do this, because apparently that's the new fad. Everybody's doing it, man. Everybody's doing it. It's the Viking look. Grow out the top of it and then shave the sides. And I'm kind of for it. Got to admit, kind of for it a little bit. Now, I'm not long enough to put it back, and I don't want to do the whole ponytail thing because that's not cool for a dude. I don't really like that. But I do want to at least grow it out to, do a little headbanging or something with it. I don't know, have a little fun with the top of it. And I got that. Everybody always asks me. It's so funny. And then I'll move on, I promise. The white spot on the front of my head. They're like, Andy, did you bleach your hair? No, I did not. I promise you that is my birthmark. I've always had that my entire life. So when I wet my hair down, or I gel it, or I do whatever, then my hair, which is blonde, it gets dark, but then I have that white streak right in the front. And no, that is not a blonde. So that's why I want to grow it out, because I like to accent that once in a while. Why not? Why not, right? Anyways, welcome back into the program now that we've talked about hair. Andy, you're so vain. I know. What can I say? You got to enjoy things once in a while, right? Plus, I'm trying to grow out the beard a little bit, but Mrs. Voice of Reason despises the beard. So at least I got to keep it trimmed and short somewhat. And it is getting a little rough. So it is time to try and do just a whole thing right up in here. Nonetheless, as we go on, this is going to be an interesting one. And we're going to bring experts on to talk a little bit more about this in detail. But now the biggest argument going into the general election is the Postal Service. Who would have thunk, right? The post office is going to be the big debate on whether we're sinking enough money into the post office to handle people for all the mail-in ballots, because the Democrats want all the mail-in ballots. We want to actually go to the polls, and we're going to find some happy medium, hopefully in between there. But the Postal Service not having enough fun. Now, you got to remember, the U.S. Postal Service has been one that's been not defunded, but they've been struggling financially for a very long time. Very long time. Even Barack Obama, when he was running for office in 2008, was even like, oh, yeah, look at that. The government programs don't work. Look at the post office. The private sector works. FedEx and the other one, UPS. They work just fine. The Postal Service, they're the ones that struggle, and it's true. They want $250 billion in our new coronavirus relief package to go to the Postal Service to be able to handle all the mail-in ballots. We'll talk about some of that when we come back here in a little bit. Plus, we have Congressman Estes from the 4th Congressional District here in Kansas coming up when we come back right after the break here on The Voice of Reason for a Thursday. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of the Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, welcome back into the Voice of Reason. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a pre-Friday celebration. Appreciate it very much, no matter where you may be, radio, TV, online streaming, doesn't really matter, or just downloading the podcast after the show. We appreciate it no matter what, wherever you may be. Earlier today, we sat down in studio with our very own congressman right here in the 4th Congressional District for the state of Kansas that I think is very pertinent to anybody all over the country as we talk about the ways and means, as we talk about the appropriations process and where we go in this nation when it comes to the CARES funding and some stimulus or relief packages and from Washington, D.C. regarding COVID-19 and exposing crazy Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats on the House side on just how much or how little they're willing to actually compromise to work to actually do something beneficial and proper for the people. This is what we had to say with Congressman Ron Estes right here on The Voice of Reason. Congressman, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Andy. It's always great to be in the studio with you.
It's great to have you here, and there's a lot to talk about because there's a lot going on, but yet there's a not lot going on as we should be discussing COVID relief, the stimulus paychecks, the assistance to small business, but obviously not going anywhere since the fact that you're here on the home front.
Yeah, it really isn't. I mean, typically in August, we're in our districts working on things, but, just the whole negotiations are broken down because Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, they want to stand for all of these liberal wishes that they want. And they're focusing on things that from this bill that they've talked about as a relief package, but it's really things they've talked about for years, and in some cases decades, whether it's bailout for the union pensions that the Obama administration could have fixed, but he stopped, and it's the Green New Deal, has a little bit of support for unemployment and some of the other things that we've done with the COVID relief, but it's just not going anywhere. And so President Trump moved forward with executive orders and said, we're going to make sure that we at least help people. And particularly what he pushed was the things that both sides agree are good.
Sure.
And unfortunately, we can't get through legislation to help make that happen.
So just enough in the bill to make it sound like a relief bill, but it's literally everything under the sun that they want to fund. How can they get away with something like that? I mean, I know they've tried it for a long time. That's why we do all these omnibus bills. They throw it all in there. And if you don't support it, then you hate the people that are poor and sick and dying on the side of the street sort of thing. But for a relief bill, if they're claiming we have this bad of a pandemic and they want to try and throw all this garbage in there.
It really is sad. And the beast about it is that, we passed 4 relief bills that totaled a little over $3 trillion. And then this one bill that they came up with that they named the HEROES Act. They're masters at coming up with nice-sounding names. There's another $3.4 trillion cost in that bill because it has all those wish list items, the things that they've been dreaming about for years. And so, unfortunately, the media is so supportive of the Democrat agenda and the liberal agenda that they won't call them out on it. They won't say, okay, how come 90% of this bill is going towards some of the things you've talked about for years instead of specific relief related to COVID-19?
The fact that we are stagnant right now and we're not getting anywhere, did it throw them off guard a little bit when Trump came out and said, I'm just going to do an executive order to do a temporary extension on these things until we can work out a deal? I'm sure that's not something they really anticipated, is it?
I don't think so. I think the thinking on the part, I know from conversations that I've had with other members and seeing behavior in the chamber, that Nancy Pelosi in particular and Chuck Schumer as well, look for what's the political angle and what they can market and advertise the best going into the election cycle. So they were pushing that the Republicans are going to stop, Republicans are going to cut out unemployment relief, Republicans are going to cut out benefits for all these folks that are suffering right now. Yeah. And President Trump said, no, we're not going to do the wrong thing. Let's focus on doing the right thing. So he came back with his executive orders to help make that happen. And yeah, there's some questions about how do we implement those, how do we make those official and make those work. But he certainly changed the game in terms of saying we're not going to stand here and do nothing. We want to move forward.
Yeah, we want to move forward, and we want to do it for the right people and actually focus on what needs to be focused on, not just a massive omnibus bill that's going to destroy this economy. How do you think this is going to affect us in the general election? I mean, we're just months away from the election right now. Everything's going to be political, and the Democrats trying to hold it hostage for their own political agenda, wanting to sound like we're not willing to work, and then Trump comes in, signs an executive order, trying to implement actual relief for the people. That's got to kind of turn them on their heels a little bit. But is this going to help or hurt Republicans going into the general, you think?
So I think, when we look back at the political process, the economy was going so great before COVID. Everything was headed in the right direction. We had more open jobs than we did have people looking for them. The whole shutdown that so many of the governors did across the country because of the coronavirus and the COVID disease actually, from a political standpoint, benefited the Democrats. You saw the Republican momentum slow down. I think now that we've started to open up, we started to do it safely. We tried to figure out ways to help get our economy going again. The momentum's starting to swing back towards the Republicans, both at the House, the Senate, as well as the presidential race. It's headed in the right direction, and we've got to keep working on that all the way to November 3rd.
I think the perfect example is that was the state legislature here in Kansas going way more conservative in there and losing to a lot of moderate incumbents with more conservative candidates. So I think that that's a good sign. Hopefully we can see that actually go nationwide. Talk about, you're on the Ways and Means Committee. You get to talk about the budget. You're the former state treasurer here for the state of Kansas. And I'm sure with trillion-dollar bills being discussed at the federal level for coronavirus relief, that's probably making the appropriations bills just a little bit difficult right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is tough to go through this process. And so our appropriations committee, they just, on the House side, just passed appropriations. The sad part about it was Democrat-led. It was Democrat initiatives. And they ignored what they'd agreed to a year ago in the budget agreement of what the spending caps would be. So they already blew those out looking ahead to 2021. And if you look at where we are in the current fiscal year through 2020, we're spending $2.6 trillion of that corona relief that we've authorized already. We were already spending $2.9 trillion on the entitlements and the fixed programs, and about 1.9 on some of the discretionary spending. So we already we're going into the COVID-19 shutdown with an expectation of about a $1 trillion deficit. Wow. And July turned out being better than expected, sure. Just because partly the income tax receipts, but we're still expecting a nearly $3 trillion deficit this fiscal year itself, just because of all of the spending. And we've got to get serious about how do we address that. And it's not something the Democrats seem to care about. A couple of them talk about it, but at the end of the day, they don't vote to balance the budget. They don't vote to make sure that we don't spend more money than we bring in. And I for one, it's a terrible thing to think about what we're going to leave our kids and our grandkids and great-grandkids, that they have to pay off the bills for the lifestyle that we want to live today.
Yeah, it's sad. They really don't want to address it. They just want to spend, when it comes down to it, spend for their pet projects. And while we see $1 trillion, $2 trillion, $3 trillion potential debts and deficits here in the country, plus whatever's coming with more coronavirus relief, we could be in a world of hurt. Are we seeing the economy slowly come back? I read a story that the consumer good prices started to rise, meaning that was a good sign that people are spending more money. And as you mentioned, unemployment is slowly ticking down right now, so that is a good sign. But are we where we need to be here for the future to be able to keep us going?
So we are headed in the right direction. I mean, you can see it in so many different places. You see airline traffic picking up. Granted, it went down to less than 10% of what it was a year ago, and we're back up to 30 to 40% range in terms of that now. We're seeing more demand for oil and gas, which means more people are out traveling, more things going on. Unemployment today, first time new filings were under 1 million new filings. Sure. Which is too many, but it's still people being unemployed. We're seeing a decline in terms of the number of people that are continuing to be unemployed, because we're seeing more people going back to work, and that's a positive thing that it's happening. it will take an extended period of time just because of the sheer volume of the impact of all of these shutdowns across so many of the states and people getting back to work. And we're focused on how do we help in specific areas. Here in South Central Kansas, it's we call Wichita the air capital of the world.
Yeah.
And it's because there's so much aviation-related activity here. And obviously aviation's been hit really hard. First it was the 737 MAX issue, but then also the shutdown in traffic. And so we've introduced the Aviation Worker Protection Act, basically looking at how do we help the employers, the aviation employers, keep their employees connected with them. And so if there's a business that expects that they could lose 25% of their employees through layoff because they have lost demand, they can petition to have half their salary paid for by the federal government, the other half paid for by the company, so that they can keep them connected as employees and continue that connection with those skilled workers, and so that they can be ready to, as demand picks up, to put them back to work on productive things.
That's such a brutal industry right now that's been hit so bad because flight travel dropped by like 80-90% when this whole thing took effect, didn't it?
It really had. The actual decline was down less than 10% of the previous year. So over 90% drop in terms of air traffic. And I noticed it going back and forth to Washington. So back in March and April, you could see the decline. You could see that planes were flying, 150 passenger plane had 25 people on it. And so it really wasn't many people at all. And that's been picked up over the months in June and July in terms of the number of people there. So you can see that increase is coming back. But aviation's hit hard. A lot of other places, restaurants, independent venues like theaters and music events, go out for concerts and that have been hit. So we've been a big advocate for the Restart Act, which is basically helping restaurants and some of these independent venues because they're going to be one of the last enterprises to get back to full work just because of the nature of having that many people together.
Congressman Ron Estes from the 4th Congressional District. Good luck. I know you have your general election coming up as well, so I'm sure we'll talk to you regarding the election here too, but keep up the fight, and we appreciate everything you do.
All right, great. Thank you. It's great to be here.
There it is. That's Congressman Ron Estes from the 4th District here in the state of Kansas. He's our congressman here in the Wichita area. Great guy, great personal friend. We appreciate the time very much, and whenever we ask him, he just swings right on here in studio and chats with us. Great information. And remember that, coronavirus, that's why we did the bars and nightclubs. That's why they're going to get hit the most because, remember, if you stay there past 10 o'clock and have a drink, then you're probably just going to catch the Rona. It used to be like STDs. Now it's just the Rona. You're going to catch the Rona if you stay at a nightclub past 10 o'clock at night. Oh, the world we live in. All right, we got to take one more break, wrapping up the show today. We got one more segment. When we come back, we'll shift gears a little bit, talk about the coronavirus. Where are we with the numbers going into the general election, plus the mail-in ballot issue that's going to be an ongoing topic, I think, for a while. So we'll touch on that when we come back. All right, here on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Cramming 10 pounds reason into a 5-pound bag. Trying, at least doing our best to rebrand the Millennial Generation, one radio listener at a time. And we do it with you being the catalyst, being the voice of reason on the local front. We're just the catalyst to make it happen, right? We just try to incite and try and entertain and try and, spur the little fire underneath you for you to go out and do it. But I can't do it. It's all on us. We do it all in our local flavors of the country. Great to have you along today. By the way, as a story that is trending today.
What's trending today?
So there is the headline. I don't know if you saw it or not, but Donald Trump had worked with Israel and the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, to create a pact or a treaty, a deal for the two countries. The first time that Israel had actually done anything with a northern Arab country like that. And they were able to get together, come up with a groundbreaking deal and talk about how that's going to affect Israel. We're going to have a guest coming on Monday regarding that. David Rubin, he is the former mayor of Shiloh, Israel. He's over in Israel, and we're going to have him on the program on Monday. We've had him on the podcast before a few months ago, and he's a great, great guy. and the story that he has to tell is absolutely phenomenal. It is something where you will quiver when you hear about the story that he's gone through and what he's done. So we appreciate him. He's originally an American that went over there and ended up becoming the mayor of Shiloh, Israel. Shiloh, I believe is how you pronounce it. And he's going to talk about that. So we'll talk about those deals and the trade deal that's going on there next week. Plus, we're going to have on Gerard Lamiro. It was a fantastic show last time that he came on the program. I believe he's coming on Tuesday. Video feed, by the way, too. Skype live feed with us on Tuesday to break down the Kamala Harris nomination for VP and how that's going to affect going into the general election. So we're looking forward to chatting with him. Last time we had him on the program, we got huge response. So we're excited to have him back on the program again Tuesday next week. So make sure to tune in all next week. We have lined up with super cool guests, and I'm really excited about that. So there is this big issue that's just lingering right now about the election, with Trump admitting to refuse funding to the U.S. Postal Service to sabotage mail-in ballots. Now, according to BusinessInsider.com, here's the quote that Donald Trump said. Quote, they want $25 billion. $25 billion for the post office. Now they need that money in order to have the post office work so it can take all of these millions and millions of ballots. But if they don't get those two items, that means they can't have universal mail-in voting. Now, we don't want universal mail-in voting. That would be very bad. That would be very dumb. There's no reason for it. I laid out the explanation on why, where you can go into the voting booth and you can vote. If you can go and get groceries, you can go and vote. It's just as important, and it's just as easy, if not safer, for you to do so. But the Democrats don't care. They want mail-in ballots. So they want to spend massive amounts of money for universal mail-in voting. Now, I ask you, name one government agency where we've increased funding, expanded the program, and then they decreased it once the crisis or whatever was done at the time, once it's all over. When did they deregulate themselves? When did they cut their employees? When did they cut the size of that administration or that agency or that bureaucratic department? When did they self-cut and be like, we don't need this anymore. We're kind of good. We're going to cut this, lower it back down to where we were. That answer, by the way, would be never, because it's never happened. We have to forcefully do it, and it's fighting tooth and nail in order to do so. Now, they want to spend $25 billion additional to what the U.S. Postal Service already gets. Now, they struggle all the time. As we mentioned, Barack Obama mentioned it during the campaign in 2008.
Oh, yeah, FedEx and UPS, they do really well. It's the post office that actually struggles.
Because they do. Because it's a government-run agency, and it's very inefficient. And they've tried to simplify things and make things better. So now they're not cutting anything. They're reforming it, because it's a program and it's a department that doesn't work very well. So they're trying to change it up a little bit. Democrats, with their $4 trillion package for coronavirus relief, want to throw massive amounts of money at the USPS in order to say, let's do universal mail-in ballots. This will be great. We can hire more people. We can expand the agency. We can build new buildings. We can make sure that everything runs right. It's going to be awesome. Problem is, though, that once you do that, once the mail-in voting's done, why do you need all that staff? They're going to lay them off. They're going to cut everything. It's going to be bankrupt. They're going to be asking for more money. So instead, Trump's like, you know what? We're going to reform this. We're going to make things run a little bit smoother and make them actually change their operation of business and make it run like a legit business. Democrats don't like that. Now he's being accused of tampering with the election because we don't want universal mail-in voting. Craziness, right? We'll get more people on to talk about that as we go along. Until then, be your own voice of reason. Time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is the Voice of Reason podcast going up in just a little bit. We got more guests going on tomorrow for a Friday. We'll have some more fun then. Until then, make sure to be your own voice of reason. Speak out, do your thing. We'll be back at it tomorrow on Friday and all next week. Lots more coming up here on the Voice of Reason. Everybody have a great Thursday evening. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.